Hello, now welcome once again. This is Nelson Karanja for Global Oak Media. Today we want to do a quick and easy tutorial on text animation using this plugin called Element 3D from Video Copilot. Let's do a new composition and let's call it title tutorial, perhaps. Tutorial. Doing it 25 frames per second. That's at 1080. It's a HD composition. 15 seconds is okay. I'll leave the background at and I'll come here, add insert a new text, and I will just type this global oak. I actually don't even have to do any kind of alignment here or even change anything. As a matter of fact, I don't need to see it. I can hide that. I'll add a new solid and I'll call this element. And I will load element on it. And once it loads, you'll see the screen go black, and we can come to custom layers and enable text and masks and select our text, which is this title here, Global Oak. And I think that's it for here. We can now go into Element 3D work environment. This is the window we get, and we just hit extrude, and right there we have our text showing up. It comes blank with just a normal shade so that we can customize it. If you check, it only has one bevel layer, and I want to increase that to 2. You can add as many as you like, up to 5. You can add as many bevels up to 5, depending on how you want to manipulate them. But for this, I would just want 2, and I want to go to bevel 1, and I need to extrude this to, let's just put it at around 2, and you can see it's quite wide. One of the other things that we may want to do when you're doing bevels is to check your surface. If you come to surface options, you will see how many vertices are on your object or title, whatever you have loaded on this. If it's too high, you can always optimize the mesh. But before we do that, I would want to change the tessellation. That will ensure that where there are corners, they are smooth. I can change the tessellation to ultra or extreme. And of course, the moment you do that, you can see your vertices increase. Now, to mitigate that, you can actually come to surface, and you can optimize mesh. And if you do that, you will find that these vertices actually get to be reduced. So we have that, and now you can see our vertices have reduced. Now, we were going into extrusions, and we said that bevel 1, we've put it at 2, and you can see it's quite wide. I also want to bevel the backside in case I need to also put some textures that reflect on the backside. And I want to enable the bevel outline for this. The moment you do that, you will find that it has cut out that outline. Actually, if you disable the bevel 2, which is the one inside, you'll see actually this is just an outline of your text. I'll put it back on, And what I want for me to be able to see this better, let me put some shade on it. I can come to metal, and I want to put a clean metal brush for this one, just so that it is distinct and I can be able to see it. Another thing I could do is to increase the bevel size for this one so that it can come out. You know, I can be able to see it on top of that. Now, I don't like that it is right at the edge of this. I want to slide it on the Z offset. I want to see if I can slide it on this one. Maybe if I put it at 0.5, it will be in the middle. Let's see from the front, not front. I need to see it from the side or from the right. Yeah, I think it can. That's somewhere in the middle. Now let's go back to our perspective. Now there are so many things that we can do with this title. Let's just put a plane underneath, and let's just put it around there, and then we can just scale it out. You know, I can just scale it out. Now this background can serve as the plane on which this one sits, but it can also be the layer that catches our shadows and ambient occlusion. So for this one, let's just also do metal. Any of them will do, but let me put metal black. There it is. The other thing I would want to do is to enable it to capture reflections. So if you right click on it and you come to reflect mode and put mirror surface, you'll now get a reflection of your text. Let's go back to our After Effects, and there is our text. For us to see it in a 3D environment, we need to put a camera. I won't change any of this either. And if you navigate around in this environment, now you can actually be able to see your text in a 3D environment. So there is our text. What we can also be able to do, actually perhaps before we even go further, we didn't actually load our environment. I know it comes with a kind of a basic environment by default, but we can change that to another environment that suits our text. Let's put that and see. That's too brown. Let's see if we can put something different. It's basically the same. I think I'll go with this kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like an open warehouse. Okay, let's put that. Let's go back. Now you can already see the effect of that. Now let's go to render environment. We come to physical environment. Here we can be able to change the effect that our environment has on our scene. This is our text. If you increase this, you can adjust the brightness, and you can actually get a bit closer to see what is going on here. So you can vary the exposure on this one. You can actually also be able to change the color temperature just by playing around with your environment. You know, you can be able to choose whatever color you choose. It's going to affect your 3D scene. However, for this one, I'm okay with it. I will not change what I have. Let us add a light that you can actually put 360 light to bright. You can tone it down. You can experiment with different lights here. You can do a single light, spot, warm, clean blue, whatever light you want. That's dramatic, stylized. How about I leave it at that? It doesn't really you actually adjust it to your taste. And we have that. We haven't put any light, external light that we can actually put from as an AE light. Let us do that. You don't have to if you are satisfied with what you have. But sometimes you just want an additional AE light. We'll put a parallel light, and you can name them. If you have many lights, you can actually give them unique names. Make sure you have cast shadows enabled, and shadow darkness, we will change that once we see the effect on our scene. In our case, because this ground is very reflective, some of the shadows probably will be hard to see, but you can see already what has happened. If you disable that, you see that's our light. And let's get out a little and see, there is our light over there, and we can move this one a little bit and see, so you can actually be able to keyframe the position of this light for effect, so that you can actually be able to see anything you want from any different angle, and you can actually be able to change the effects that you see here. But I want to come back to our element and go to ambient occlusion, and I'll say enable. Now the moment you do that, ambient occlusion puts some shadows where there are curves or crevices. You are able to actually see some shadows reflected. And if your computer can handle it, you can enable ray trace. That just makes it a little bit more refined, but it takes a toll on your computer. So if your computer is not as strong, then perhaps you may want to leave that one out. But it's good. It makes the shadows quite refined. Now it has made this a bit dark. I could actually just brighten it up using our environment or even the light that we have put. So let's see if we just go to this parallel light and add our, if you hit T and go to the intensity, you can see we can actually get additional light on our scene, and I think that's pretty much that's okay. That's good. And if we come back to our element and we come to shadows and we enable that, again we see our shadows. Let me put our ray traced again. That even makes it more clearer. Okay, what else can we do here? If we say show in background, it will just bring up the background of whatever whatever environment we put will actually be shown here, and we can rotate it and position it exactly where we want, depending on what we want to be able to see. But often you find you probably don't need all that, so you can either opt to have it or just leave it. In this case, let me just leave it on for now. We can keyframe our camera now and see what we get. If you come to our camera transform, I'm not sure I'm gonna use all these, but let me just put them in case I need them. I'll keyframe, and I want the starting point to be somewhere there, maybe tilted up a little bit. Okay, and then I can go up to maybe about 5 seconds into the timeline and I can zoom out and rotate my camera. Okay. We have it there. Come. This movement actually just depends on what you want to see, and there's no right or wrong movement. It just depends on what you feel looks good to you, and you can literally combine many kinds of movements. And maybe we want our final position to be something like and then we bring it down a little. And then we go. Now, I think this is where I would want to leave it for this particular short tutorial. And I hope we'll actually be able to build on this, because there's a lot more that we can do in terms of texturing it, in terms of adding additional lights and giving it aesthetics that are more pleasing. But I think for now, for a basic tutorial, that concludes it. Until next time, have a wonderful time.